And we're live.
Hey, Facebook. What up?
Hello.
Hi, Facebook. Hi, ladies. How are
Hi.
you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm excited to do this interview.
As are
Yes.
we, of course.
Yes, some of us have lipstick on and we all have our hair done. That's how you know we're serious about it in mompreneur life, right?
Right.
Yes.
I own 2 lipsticks and I could tell you. I have chapstick on.
So it's
Chapstick counts.
we know it's good.
That means you glisten. So it's all good. That works. That counts. All right. So thanks to everybody who's either listening now or going to listen in the future. Today's interview is with Melissa and Julia of Define+Design. Hi, ladies. These ladies are amazing. So we're going to talk about mompreneur life because that's sort of their specialty. We're going to talk about branding and social media. And there's a few things that they know, well, there's a lot of things that they know that can hold you back from actually reaching your audience on social media. And it creates an overwhelm. And there's a whole bunch of things. And this is kind of their specialties, working with mompreneurs to uncover what that is and show them exactly what to say, where to say it, and to make sure that they're doing a killer job at building a badass business. So, and also they're podcasters. So they have Behind the Mompire, which is a very cool, very local podcast. So we'll kind of get to all of that, but hello, ladies.
Hello.
So the cool part about you guys is you've known each other since like grade 3.
Yeah.
This is true.
How do you like make a friendship go that long? And you weren't just friends, you were best friends, right?
Yeah. Melissa's family moved to Mississauga and I think it was grade 3. And then we became BFFs. And like the worst heartbreak of my young life was when her family left Mississauga and we didn't go to school together anymore.
Oh, that's brutal. I remember when my best friend moved away in, I think, grade 2 or 3, and I was devastated. But you guys reconnected.
We did. Julia is like a maven at relationships, and she hunted me down through email. I don't even know how you did it, but I got a random email one day, once upon a time when I had Hotmail. And she said, is this the Melissa McFarlane that went to Sawmill Valley? And I was like, heck yes, it is. It's very exciting. I don't know how she found me. She's a genius.
I feel like I searched for you through like MSN Messenger. I remember that or something like that.
Oh, that would make sense.
Because when I forget what age we were, but it was the age before ye old internet. And I had sent Melissa, I used to send Christmas cards every year because that's the cool kid I was when I was younger. And one of them, it came back one year and her family had moved and I didn't have her address and you didn't have cell phone. So I had no idea how to get in touch with her.
And then Julia's family moved somewhere shortly after that. So then I didn't have her address anymore.
And now Julia's in Barrie and Melissa, you're in KW.
That is correct.
So, and now you have a business together.
It's true.
Yeah. So, and you used to have you didn't just write letters, you had custom stationery, best friend stationery.
One of us was on a family trip. I was either my family going to Florida or Melissa's family going to Myrtle Beach. And one of us brought back this really baby pink stationery that had Melissa and then a flower on it and then Julia and a flower on it. So we'd write each other letters with our matching.
I would actually like to point out the earrings that I'm wearing right now. Julia bought these for me in whatever grade it was that we went to the McMichael Art Gallery.
That's right. See,
I
so
don't know if you remember that, but got my Julia earrings on today.
You guys are adorable, honestly. And you both had kids and had families, and now you're kind of raising a business and raising families together at the same time, which is so very cool. Yeah.
It's amazing to be in the same space at the same time. And then kind of how things align for us to be in the same spot to go into business together is very fortuitous.
Right. Like you have different skill sets. I mean, similar, but different specialties. So the fact that those came together perfectly to create a branding and social media business is very cool. So who does what in the business? I know you both do a lot of stuff, but where's the specialties lie here?
So I do most of the brand work with our clients. So So my background's in career coaching, where I spent like nearly a decade helping people figure out what do they want to do, what are they really good at, how do you communicate that to employers. So I took that skill, shifting it over to working with small business owners, saying, hey, what do you want to do with your business?
Right.
What are you really good at? How do we position you to your audience? So I do a lot of the work with them around that, helping them figure out that value, the language that they use to present themselves, help them develop what's the kind of brand that really aligns with who they are, making sure that it's a very authentic voice and image that they're creating. And then that Julia then steps in and she'll help them with the social media aspect. So once we kind of like define who they are, what they want to be, then Julia helps them design, if you will, the the strategy to push it out there through their social media channels.
Perfect business name.
Right? It was like a stroke of genius.
Yeah, define and design. And it is kind of cool that career coaching so seamlessly sort of goes into that similar platform, but for entrepreneurs, because it's a lot of the same questions. You're still putting yourself out there. You are a brand when you're applying for a job, and when you have a business, your business is the brand, right?
Exactly.
And Julia, you do the social media magic.
I do.
That's awesome.
We both do the spirit fingers. I just realized this is actually live. So Melissa and I, when we're recording our podcast, we do it on Zoom. And then she and I often will do like air quotes or something dumb. And then we realize no one can see us because it's audio. So it's kind of fun that now I can do things and people can see me.
Yeah. Jazz hands.
Yes. As I go on a complete tangent about jazz hands. That's what I do in our business. I ramble.
And you get paid to do it. So that's a good thing.
Julia brings the jazz hands to your social media.
Yes.
All social media needs jazz hands.
I mean, it does. And if you don't have it, you're not killing it in business. I gotta tell you.
No, it's not badass enough. Nope. Okay. So where should we start? You guys have a podcast, Behind the Mompire, which kind of goes together with the fact that Define and Design, a lot of your clients, not all of them, but a lot of your clients are mompreneurs. So they're people who are building a business, building their brand, trying to, get some sales coming in, engage their audience, all of that kind of stuff. But they also have like little kids running around in the background, or they're homeschooling because of COVID. So is that sort of why Behind the Mompire came about? What were you thinking, taking on yet another project?
We are project people, and I don't know why we do that, but Melissa's notorious for being like, oh, I have this amazing idea. And then we implement it. And it's always amazing, but sometimes it's chaotic. We just talked a lot about how you can feel really alone being a mom in a business and then you just feel unprofessional, like, oh, sorry, I've got to go in 20 minutes and get the bus, or my kid's home sick today, or blah, 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 blah. And there's so much, but there's so many of us out there doing that. So we just really liked the idea of being able to highlight that there is a community of us, and you can be a mom and be a badass in your business. And
That's so true.
Mutually exclusive.
I will point out that the podcast was Julia's idea, and it took her like a year to convince me to do it.
Because Melissa didn't listen to podcasts. And I was like, dude, they're so great. She's like,
They are. I go and binge it. So I won't listen to podcasts for a whole month. And then one day I'll put one on and I'll be like, oh my God, why did I forget podcasts exist? Even though I literally have one. And then I will just, and then I'll binge for hours and hours. It's amazing. You can learn so much. And it's a little viewpoint into other people's lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Yeah.
We met some really cool women that we've been chatting with on the podcast. So head over to Behind the Mompire, everyone, and check us out. There's some really great guests so far. We need to have you on, Miss Audrey.
Yeah. Right? We'll have to do that. Let's make that happen.
Yes.
And it's Behind the Mompire on Instagram, or is there a website with it too? Or it's Instagram, and then that leads you to the podcast?
Yeah. So you can go to behindthemompire.com and you can listen to our episodes there. Awesome. Find us on Instagram, which is just at Behind the Mompire, or you can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
That's right. Yeah, I think I caught you on Spotify once.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, okay. So your focus is people who are raising a business and raising children at the same time. with particular focus on branding and social media, which go hand in hand, right? So that's why it makes sense that you guys came together just as business owners, because that creates the perfect business, defining and designing at the same time. So you know better than most that a lot of people will spend a lot of time on social media, maybe in spits and spurts. Like I'll do 1 million posts over the span of a week and then I don't touch it for 2 weeks. There's a lot of people who are guilty of that. I don't know if just the inspiration goes away or we forget what we're supposed to say, how to reach our audience, whether it's like, what do we write that's going to actually resonate with the people that we're talking to? So what kind of tips would you give to people who their social media is holding them back, and if they do these things it would be better?
Well, the one part along what you were just talking about like losing the thread or forgetting what you're talking about is we dedicate like a day to social media content writing and scheduling and graphic creating and things like that. So instead of trying to think about what we're going to post every day, we'll try and stay a couple weeks ahead so that we know what we're talking about, because then when the inspiration strikes you, you're already in that zone. It's not like you have to try and bring it back every couple days.
Right. Because creativity it's not something it's not on demand, right?
Yeah. And then to go with that, so taking that dedicated day to be creating social media content, but also creating content for your other channels as well, so that you can have that cohesive look between everything. So if you're writing, say like you're going to write a blog post, then write that blog post, extract stuff out of it to make that into some social media posts, take something out of that, put it into an email so that you're sending out the same message across the board all over the place. And then when you're repurposing your content, you're not like having to recreate the wheel every single time and write something new every single time and then say, why don't I have time for this? Because you're wasting so much time writing new stuff.
Yeah. And we all say, I don't have enough time for this.
Oh yeah.
Like all of us are so guilty of that. So that's cool that you repurpose it. So what channels do you think a typical, not that there is such a thing as a typical business, but a mompreneur should choose in order to resonate with her people?
It should definitely not be an answer that an outsider is going to give you. It should be, you have to do the research to figure out where your audience is, and that is how you should be connecting with them. So depending on what your business is, your audience might be on LinkedIn, or they might be Instagram, or they might be Facebook, or maybe they're not really social media people and they just want emails from you. So it's really doing your research to understand where they are, and that is where you should be focusing your attention.
Is that research that you do with or for your clients?
We can do that for our clients. It's true.
We had a client a while ago, and we were spending an awful lot of time posting for her on Instagram. She kept trying to get us to, she really wanted to work on engagement. And then just after a while, we're like, look, your people aren't here. So we spent a lot more time working and engaging on her Facebook and her LinkedIn to way more traction and success.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? So I guess it would be determined by demographics and interests, or how do you find out?
Well, what you're going to want to do.
Don't give away all the secrets, just maybe like 2 of them.
We'll tell you. One thing that you can do that is quite easy is if you know who your competitors are, or people that are in a relatively similar industry, have a look around and see what they're doing. Where are they? If you notice they're getting a ton of traction on Instagram and they have a ton of followers and it's really good, then you're probably going to want to be there as well.
Isn't it funny that makes total sense, but so many of us wouldn't even think about that. Really, we wouldn't even consider doing that. That's very cool tip.
And then you're not going to necessarily want to do exactly what they're doing. Obviously, put your own spin on it, but they're clearly showing you that the audience is there for what they're offering. So that's a good place to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Making sure that competitor, even if they have a similar product or service to you, that they're hitting the same market as you.
Right. So,
for example, let's say Julia and I doing brand and social media, we're specifically targeting small business owners, typically moms. Our demographic is on Instagram. But if you were to take a different brand and social media business that was targeting, say, large corporations, they would want to be spending their time on LinkedIn, right? So even though it's a very similar product or service, just make sure that the audience is the same as yours.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I'm going to do that after this, actually.
Like, where are they?
I'm just
Where are
like,
they?
have I done that? Have I done my research? So how far in advance do you think that someone should plan their social media? Like you guys say that you spend it a day and you get maybe a week or two ahead. Is that kind of your rule of thumb, or what do you think?
We typically do like a high level quarterly plan and then kind of break it down month to month and week to week in from there. Things change an awful lot. For instance, when we looked at planning quarter two in quarter one, we didn't really allot for like a global pandemic.
All those
Exactly.
posts I had written down the drain.
And I think it was you actually we were joking with the other day about creating a year's worth of content at a time. Like it sounds awesome. However, it's just such a waste of time because along with the pandemic and everything else, like things in your life and your business can change so fast. And you could just have a ton of stuff. Maybe you pivot, maybe, I don't know, you create new products or lose a product line or what have you, your services change. Then you're just got a bunch of stuff that you don't need anymore. So it's good to be prepared, but like there's only, you don't want to be overly prepared.
Yeah, because it would take a long time to plan a year of content, which is nonsense, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
I mean,
yeah,
it's one thing to have like, you've got your content pillars and themes and stuff in mind to say, okay, so let's say in the first quarter, I'm going to focus around this in general. Second quarter, I'm going to focus this in general. Like if you're creating a very vague framework for yourself on an annual basis, that's okay. But don't bother getting into like the next level, the next layer, all the way down to those nitty gritty details. That's like, hold your horses and wait till you get to like a quarterly planning aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question. If I was a mompreneur, well, I am, but okay. So I'm a mompreneur and I'm going to plan my social media a week in advance. So on Monday, I'm going to do it, or Sunday or whatever. How many posts should I be planning to do? And like, do I post the same thing on every network, or do I do different things on different networks?
So our approach is quality over quantity. So if you feel that you want to be putting out 7 posts a week and every single one of those posts is full of like terrific little nuggets for your audience and really creates impact, and you can keep up with 7 posts a week on all of your channels, you go ahead with that. That is amazing. But if you find that overwhelming, and if you see that that the content that you're pushing out does not deliver that quality that it should, then look at scaling back to something that you can manage and keep up with. Because if you're going for 7 posts a week and like 2 months later, you cannot keep up with it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh God, I can't. And then you're just dropping 1 post, your audience is going to be like, WTF, what's happening? Where did you go? I don't understand. And then they forget about you because we're just goldfishes.
Right. Goldfishes. I like that.
And burnout is also real for sure. So I think realistically, especially if you're doing it on your own, there's only so long you could go with creating that much new content without just.
Yeah. And then you would just fall off the wagon, right? And instead of slowing down, you'd probably just walk away for a while, which is it's tragic, right? Because whatever momentum you did create is going to drop off. The algorithm will start hating you again, and you'll have to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Like you guys kept it alive during COVID, even though you took a step back to focus on your families for a few weeks, or I'm not sure how long. You still made a commitment to your social media. How did you manage that?
We were completely honest. Melissa wrote actually a really lovely post. We'd ended all of our client work in April. And then Melissa just wrote a post that was, I loved it, but was from both of us, just saying like, this is what's up. Like, we have kids home. We don't want to be those moms that are yelling at our kids and staring at our screens all day. And we can't seem to do both well enough. So we're taking a step back. We got a lot of really positive reaction to that post as well, because I think so many people felt that as well. And we were just we started a lot of great conversations, I think, because we'd put it out there. So that was really nice.
You were probably saying what a lot of people were afraid to say.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
we
scary.
sent that out on social media and to our email list as well, and we did get essentially a lot of thank yous back to us
Yeah.
saying thank you for that honesty, and it lets me know that I'm not alone in my feeling this way. So it's pretty nice when that happens, when you can
Yeah.
make someone else feel good about the feelings that they're having inside.
Especially now, right?
Mhm.
So you took the summer off and then came back to it in September. So did you feel like you were starting over in September, or were you able to ease back into it? Like, how did that happen?
On the one hand, it was a nice transition back into it. I mean, as you mentioned, we kept up with our social media over the course of April through to August, kept that a regular thing. And because we were staying engaged with our audience the whole time, those conversations were still happening. So then when we opened up the doors to say like, hey, we're available for working again, then we had some really positive responses and we got some clients rolling in, and it felt easy just to get back into work. I won't say it felt easy getting back onto a time schedule, but easy to get back into it. We had definitely spent a lot of the time over the summer thinking about, what are the priorities in our business? How can we make some changes? The recognition that the way that we were working previously definitely was more of if we are not 100% available to do the work, then the business doesn't exist. So looking at how we can get more systems, more automations, more processes in place, different approaches and things like that, so that some level of business can still be functioning and operating and bringing in income for us. If, for example, the world explodes or
Yeah.
or something
Right.
along those lines.
Kind of like what happened. Yeah. And it kind of part of that of jumping back in and trying to figure out how to do what you do best and reach the clients who need you the most, but also not sacrifice the fact that a lot of us have kids at home. So like you're working with limited hours to a
Mhm.
certain extent in comparison to before, right? So is that what drove you to create Hustle and Flow? Like, is that the online program so that you could like reach more people, or what was the thinking behind that?
It definitely fits, but it was something that we had been looking at last year at doing. So we actually kicked off the program last September. We'll say that we knew this was going to happen, so we
Oh
planned all of
yeah, you
this.
were just ahead of the curve.
Right?
Yeah.
But no, it was something that we had started last September with a group of founding members running through it, getting their feedback on it so that we could adapt it. We could put in tweaks, add pieces that they felt needed to be put in so that when we were ready to be rolling it out to new people again, then we'd be like, aha, here's our approved platform and program. So it's good.
That's cool. It's amazing how the timing just worked out sort of perfectly, right?
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. So through your program, you're offering online classes that
Mhm.
are on demand, right? So kind of along the lines of how you guys have to really carefully schedule, but sometimes kids mess up schedules and that's okay. You recognize that I'm pretty sure mine was just really loud. Probably you can hear them, but anyways, that's okay. That's okay. Mompreneur. But you made it on demand, right? So that you could help mompreneur clients, but on their schedule, because
Yeah.
sometimes you can't commit to whatever it is, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock every Monday.
Exactly.
So what is included in your program that would make a real difference to a business who just needs to get some sales going on, just needs to get some traction?
Well, a lot of things. So like you said, the on-demand videos, we have 30 of them currently, and we have plans to be filming more in the coming months. Those come along with workbooks, so you can really sit down and work through the content. So you're listening to us kind of explain things. You're not just being sort of set loose with high hopes. Like we're kind of guiding you through the workbook and giving you information. We
Hopes.
I know.
Sorry.
We have monthly group calls, which we really enjoy. So that's where everyone can get together and sort of talk through issues they're having. We've been trying to have like a monthly theme to sort of help people with something specific, but we're also there for anything else that comes up. What else, Melissa? We've got lots of good stuff.
Well, there's just so many things. So then we have.
Can you hear that they've got their elevator pitch hats on right now, ladies? I love it.
Julia puts together a monthly social media challenge for our members. So we do that just to make sure that our members.
I love challenges. I love challenges.
Right?
Okay, we'll send you the November one next week.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do Sorry, go ahead.
Just to make sure that our members are able to stay up with trends that's going on with their social media, make sure that they're putting in fresh things into their social media. We have the community of women that are in the program. So there's a lot of encouragement and camaraderie that happens with that, which is pretty amazing. As Julia mentioned in our monthly group calls. So then you have that access to us, you have access to the members through that interaction in that capacity, but then throughout the time period that you're in the program, you still have access to Julia and I through our online Facebook group, private Facebook group, where we can interact all the time. We've just started using Marco Polo in that group, and just as a different way. Sometimes it's a lot easier to say what it is that you're working through rather than typing it out. So that's another fun way.
That's very cool. I've never used Marco Polo.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
We love it. We used to send each other Facebook voice clips, but they tap out at a minute. So then you're like, crap, where'd it stop? So now we can just ramble to each other on Marco Polo with stuff. And we've had some adopters in the group who have been using it, but we're hoping for it to be more of a regular thing because it's kind of nice and everyone can see and hear what your problems are. So you get a lot of input from the group, which is so fantastic as well.
So that day when Melissa left me like 8 1-minute Instagram voice clips, we should have done Marco Polo.
We totally should have.
Yeah.
It would change your life.
Yeah, I might. I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
So it's an online program, but they also get access to you in human form, right? Which I think is important, so that they can ask questions. Yeah. All right. Cool. So what else is in it?
And then we do quarterly planning parties. So we have essentially, I'll say, a whole module around quarterly planning. And every quarter, Julia and I, when non-COVID times, we would always get together every quarter. We would plan out what we want to be doing in business. We would also be planning out that framework of our content as well. And all of that. So we're like, wow, we should be doing this with our group members as well. So we implemented that. And in that quarterly planning, we have people walk through different kinds of audits. So looking back at their last quarter, auditing their brand, auditing their social media, auditing their goals as well, so that they can use that so that when they're planning their next quarter, they can figure out, what am I doing well? What am I not doing well? What do I need to be changing? And kind of tracking their progress overall on how things are going and set the plans so that they can be achieving what they're working towards.
That's very cool. So I know that there's a bonus that you include for people who are booking for your sort of premiere launch. I mean, you did it back in a year ago. You ran this program as a beta, and then you got lots of feedback. You polished it up. You had a bunch of stuff, and now this is the sort of official launch. So, what are you including exclusively for people who jump on board like this week or next week?
Well, we're adding as a bonus the 3 top purchase items out of our DefineDesign shop, which is our Pitch Perfect workbook, which is designed to help you create that introduction pitch or elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it, that really helps to highlight your value and create interest with the person in front of you. We have our networking blueprint, which is created to help people feel comfortable with networking. I've had a lot of experiences with introverts and people who just get freaked out by networking. They're like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make this easy for you because I am a hardcore introvert.
My worst nightmare is going into a networking meeting where everybody's standing around cruiser tables and you have to go up and introduce yourself to them. That is, I would rather do anything on earth than that.
Right?
Yeah. So that would be useful.
Yeah, so it just kind of works with you on helping you to get prepared for it, helping you to kind of like overcome some of those fears around it, create the right kind of strategy that's going to work for you. And then we have our LinkedIn for Business video training as well, just because we know that LinkedIn is not everyone's jam, and they think it's just the place to go for jobs. But we wanted to help people see that it's a place that you can actually be building your business brand as well.
Yeah, you're one of the few marketers that I've talked to that does actually give some love to LinkedIn and actual strategy around it.
It's LinkedIn was my jam for a very, very long time.
From
And
career
it wasn't,
coaching?
yeah, it wasn't really until I started working with Julia that I was like, oh, Instagram, oh, Facebook, that I had to do those things. So just from the aspect of knowing what the community can be like over there, understanding the objectives of why people are on LinkedIn, and how you need to have totally different tactic and strategy there than what you're going to do on other platforms. It's a pretty cool place when you have that understanding.
So what would be a good business type to kind of try to leverage LinkedIn? Give me an example of somebody that would
I'll give
profit from that.
you one of my favorites. So a health and fitness coach, she wanted to master LinkedIn. So we sat down and kind of talked through some ideas and stuff. She is crushing it there because she has totally changed her target audience away from like just your, I mean, she had her niche of her woman, her ideal client that she was going after. She was using different social media platforms. So we shifted it on LinkedIn, and she started targeting towards the corporate working individual, so men and women above a certain age range who are experienced certain things, and really tapped into the idea of how is your health and fitness impacting your productivity in your professional life. And that has just opened up like such a world for her. She started booking speaking gigs, getting connected like into all these different areas. And it's just been so fantastic because she understood how to change the niche, how to change the language, and how to talk about a pain point based on the reason of why people are there.
That's amazing. That is such a cool example. I know that I think there's actually an opportunity on LinkedIn because so many of us have kind of given up on it that really there's not as much saturation like you would see on Instagram because nobody's really realizing the potential. I know there's tons and tons of people on LinkedIn, but a lot of us just look at it as to get a job or to land a contract type thing, but to use it and leverage it as like a real social media platform where you can share your story and target people. And I think there's opportunity there until everybody jumps back in that wagon, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm currently being bombarded by like business coaches and financial advisors right now. And I'm like, it's happening.
Right. So everybody needs to get in there first.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, part of all of this, of course, is if you're going to talk about yourself on social media, you need to have like a website for people to go to. And I know, Julia, you do a lot of stuff with website design as well, don't you?
That is a little more Melissa. I've been working on it as well. Part of our business thing has happened is that her son was at school last year for the first year, and I still had my youngest at home. So the plan was my youngest is going to school this year, and then I'm catching up on some of the stuff that Melissa had been doing. So yes, we've done websites. But,
so you can actually both do it then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So whoever has time in their schedule, you can pass it back and forth. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it works out really nicely. And plus it's the extra benefit. I mean, for everything we do is we always have a second set of eyes.
Right.
So there's a lot of like, hey, I've done this, go and check it out. Or, hey, I've started this. Can you, add some tweaks and finish it off? And
yeah, that's definitely amazing.
So Mompreneurs, get a partner. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Partnership can be really hard, but it also can be really kind of freeing because when something goes wrong, like somebody's website gets hacked, Not mentioning any name, and it's not me.
So
Yeah,
like just to say, so the power of our Hustle and Flow program being on demand, you can work at it through your own pace. So it's not even, worrying about just the kids ruining your day. It's when your website gets hacked and all your plans for the morning get ruined because you have to unhack your own website.
right. Right. That is brutal. And
So
you know what? I've heard a lot about that this week. So you're not the only one. My call literally right before this, her personal website was hacked today. So
seriously,
yeah,
I think
something's in the water.
yeah.
Yeah. And it seems WordPress focused. So
Yeah.
everybody update your plugins. Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's a thing. And have a backup, because that's all I ever do is I revert to backup.
Yeah.
Done. Okay, so you have your program. It's launching Sunday or Monday, so November 1st. And throughout that first week, you're offering like amazing inclusives that you're not going to otherwise offer. So just as an encouragement to like get people to jump on board and get this party started, kind of thing. How long do you think that most mompreneurs would take to go through the lessons and the workbooks and the master classes and the downloads? Like, how much content are they looking at, do you think?
It really depends. And Melissa and I offer, when you sign up for the program, we do like between an hour to 75-minute long, like deep dive call into your business, because we realize that everyone's not at the exact same stage in their business. So we don't want to make you do stuff that's redundant. So we'll have this call, see where you're at. And then we kind of assign a pathway for you through the work so that we can sort of show you what you might need to brush up on and or things you need to be working towards.
That's kind of brilliant, because a lot of these online courses, it's one size fits all.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really fit though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody comes in at their own level. So if somebody literally doesn't have anything and they need to work through all of that, then go
Then
work
it's
through the whole
there.
thing. But if somebody comes in, they're like, you know what? I already know my audience member. I already have this deep understanding. I've done all of this work previously on them. They were like, great, then you know what? Focus on this and this. Still touch into that just to make sure, but you don't have to make that particular one like one of the number one priorities. Right. So people kind of get that customized approach.
That's awesome. I love it. So what do people go to in order to get into the program, to book it? Or do they just start with a call with you and kind of ask questions?
So we have a website specifically for the membership, which is hustleandflowmembers.com. So that has a little more information on things there. But frequently people have just reached out to us and then we've had a call just to sort of explain things a little bit better or help with any concerns they have. And then we go from there.
And that's kind of my favorite way to start any major client relationship, to just have them sign up and not have that contact first. I love doing deep dive calls with clients. So I think it's cool that you're allowing that, and you're still like putting a human face to an online program, because I think that's what's missing in a lot of online programs right now, is they just sort of wanted to film it and forget it. And that's not realistic, right?
No,
we really
as much as
we want. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
We really do truthfully want like the absolute most success for everybody. Like, we are women, moms building businesses, and we really want to be able to help as many people in the same position as us. So we want to be there to support as much as possible.
And there's such a huge need for it. So especially now when similar programs are out there, they don't necessarily have the human face. They don't have the deep dive call that starts it. And most often they're about $3,000, which it's a lot for a mompreneur. I mean, unless you have a business where every client is worth $3,000, in which case, you know what, you should invest in a coach for that, because that's just one client, right? But if you're the average where it's like 500 price point or 750, that just seems really hard to attain, right? So I love that your pricing is more reasonable. Do you want to share your price to the masses, or should we let them check the website?
It's $897 for, so it's a 6-month program. So it's $897 to sign up. And as you're saying, you know, there's definitely more that cost a heck of a lot more, but we definitely wanted to make it something that was affordable and approachable for people, because we know that, you know, being able to shell out $3,000, not always possible. So we have it at $897. It's that group, you know, it's a group program. It's online learning. You're still having access to us. And it's a stellar deal. And if someone is still like, hey, $897, that's a little bit still out of my budget. And we have payment plans that they can tap into. You know, we try to do whatever we can with the client, because we don't want to lose somebody over money, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
if it's something that they need, then, you know, we look at the ways that we can make it work for them.
And I guess if you divide up the price into payments, then the first month or two, they've had the opportunity to maybe bring in some new sales and generate new business, which will make it so much easier to finish out those payments as well. Especially if they're starting from ground zero. Like even people who are established in business right now, often because of COVID have taken, like what you did, they took a step back. So they're almost, even though they're an established brand, they're kind of starting from scratch sometimes.
Exactly.
So yeah, money's a real thing, right?
Downside of live streaming, I just realized I didn't plug in my laptop. So if you ladies will excuse me for a moment.
Will I swing around and hope my laptop doesn't die? Well, we're almost tying this up, but yeah, where's the power cord? Right there. So Julia, what's been your favorite client to work with so far over the past, say, year or two?
This is kind of funny, and we actually chatted about this recently. I guess our messaging and our ideal client niche is right on, because we have so many clients that we just want to be friends with. Like we've just met so many really lovely people in different industries. So I truthfully, I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's butt, but I can't.
Oh, that's good.
So many like, and Melissa's down.
I'm ruining it all.
But no, this is my highlight of the podcast,
right here. I'm just gonna hold this and be like, here you go. Just holding it. We're good. We're good.
Upside down. Yeah, but we've just met and worked with so many amazing people, even people that we've hired to work with us for things too. Like it's just been so awesome.
Isn't that great? That's how you know that you are doing what you're put on this planet to do, and that you're providing a service that is exactly what the people you're targeting actually need. And I mean, that's what it's all about. That's where the magic is for any entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, any last tips before we go? Other than obviously everybody should go check out hustleandflowmembers.com. Look, I got it right. I remembered and everything. Because it's a cool program. It's made by real humans. It's made for mompreneurs that, are in the same position as a lot of the people that will listen to this. So it's affordable. It gives you everything you need in order to kind of leverage social media to get your business getting traction again, right? And we all need that right now, because COVID or not, we have to get back to business. And these ladies are really good at helping people do that. Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. So please reach out either through our website, or you can send us a DM through Facebook, Instagram, at DefineDesign.co is us.
And I'll try to go into the various places this streamed and add the URLs and stuff after too.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for having us, Jen. It was really.
Thank you. And next time I will do yours.
Sounds good. We will make that plan for soon.
All right. Awesome. Well, go pick up your kids, because I know you have to do that in 5 minutes, because mompreneurs.